put it into index funds or index ETFs like SPY, um, something like QQQ or something like that. You could expect to earn stuff like that if future is going to look like the history. When you're forecasting stuff, that's always the biggest assumption because, or when you're forecasting using statistics as a guide, the built-in assumption that future is going to look like the history. If it doesn't, all bets are off. Right? But if you have reason to believe that those returns are going to be less or more, well, you can look at those. So if you could save $100 a month, and you could do that with a lot of stuff, you know, gas economy. I have a relatively good car in terms of gas economy. I have a Subaru, and no, I'm not a lesbian. Not that there is anything wrong with that. For some reason, Subarus are known as lesbian car. I I also bought my son a Subaru. He's very happy with it. He says, doesn't matter. Uh, if I, on the highway, if I drive about 75, it does maybe 30 miles a gallon. But if I drive 65, it does about 37. So let's just make a simple calculation. Let's say you're going to drive, depending upon your commute, uh, 10,000 miles a year, okay? Or let's divide that by 12. So 833 miles uh, a month at 30. So this is, that means spending 27.7 gallons. I'm just going to say 3. So by not speeding on the highway, I'm giving my old self $165,000. This is not a home ec class, but I want you to think about that sort of stuff. All right. Now let's ask even a, you may not relate too much to that, the million or 160, whatever your monthly savings is. Second question is, do you believe you will live for 25 years after retirement? Let's get back to this original number and write it here. The answer is 313,475. You want to convert your retirement account into an annuity to get a fixed monthly income during retirement. I reduced that to 3% because, you're already retired. You don't want to risk things too much. Sometimes you can actually go to a company and buy that annuity. And more often than not, it's going to be something like 3% APR. You could get 3% APR again, we're thinking after inflation terms by investing into investment grade corporate bonds, not even the junk bond stuff. If you want to do junk bonds, you can earn a little bit more than that. All right. Now, how are we going to solve that? Here, oops, we already know how much money you will have when you retire. So let's travel into future. By the way, even under general relativity, that is possible. You can travel into future. You just cannot travel to the past unless you could travel faster than speed of light, which is verboten, which means forbidden in German. Anybody knows how you can travel into future by any chance? Eh, Let's say you have a spaceship that could travel 99.99999% of speed of light, which is very fast, almost 180 miles per second. You take that spaceship, uh, you basically, uh, I don't know, go to Alpha Centauri and come back, right? Alpha Centauri is about 4 light years away. So round trip is going to be 8 years. If you leave now, by the time you come back, it's going to be September 2032 on Earth. But since you're so close to the speed of light, I think you would have aged only mm, maybe a year, maybe 3 months. That's about it. Because the faster you move, the slower time passes for you. The outside observers, I'm observing you. For me, time passes normal because I have normal speed. But when you're in a vehicle that travels very fast, time actually slows down. That's special relativity. Same thing happens uh, if you're very close to the event horizon of a black hole, either very fast or very intense gravity, time actually slows down. So in that sense, you traveled almost 8 years into the future. So let's travel 65 years into the future. Once we get there, now that's present for me, right? Now I know how much money I have, 314 and some change. So that's my present value. I also know what sort of cash flow, or I don't know what sort of cash flow I want. So what I want to do, first of all, I'm going to know my targets. I'm going to actually copy this and paste only the values. So that's my target.